There are 4,315,275,402 Alabama football podcasts on the internet. And now you get to ignore every single one. This is the Houndstooth Podcast. Real talk from real fans. We gump to a standard around here. Recapping the Alabama Crimson Tide and college football from around the SEC and across the nation. This is the Houndstooth Podcast. And here are your hosts, Bill Sylvie, Jessica Brand, John Henry, and Bo Gonora.
And good morning, sports fans.
Morning, Bill.
Happy Sunday to you. John?
How's it going, guys?
It's going. It's going somewhere.
You know, after that Rainbow Warriors Aztecs game, I stayed up to the end of that one. I'm glad for the extra hour of sleep today.
Yeah. Well, the Pac-10 after dark or Mountain whatever after dark, basically football games that are played in California, Oregon, Washington, or Hawaii are they're just weird. They're just weird, you know. But anyway, allegedly a football game was played in Tuscaloosa, Alabama last night. Allegedly. I don't know.
Is that what that was?
I didn't see much friggin' football being played out there. But before we get into it, of course, we had the bye week. Before we left for the bye week, we had a trivia question. And that trivia question was, prior to Nick Saban's run through Tennessee, what was the longest winning streak from what year to what year that the University of Alabama had over the Tennessee Volunteers? Nobody got that trivia question. We'll have a new one at halftime. But the answer was, under Coach Paul Bear Bryant from 1971 to 1981 was a 10-game romp. And we appear to have lost John Henry. But yes, it was a 10-game romp under Bear Bryant. There he is. We'll bring him back. Are you with us, John?
Technical difficulties this morning, guys. I apologize.
I understand. Hey, if that's the worst thing that happens to you today, then, you know, count yourself lucky. So yeah. That was the trivia question. We'll have a new trivia question at halftime. It looks like we're missing Jess this morning. I hope she is able to join us, but we will soldier on, sorely feeling her absence, I'm sure. Guys, let's get the obvious, painful facts out of the way. Now I want to be upfront with something. I want to be 110% crystal clear and on point. You'll never find the more dedicated University of Alabama fan than myself or my co-hosts. I'm a guy who will go watch replays of games from the 50s and 60s on YouTube for entertainment purposes. This is a team that has been near and dear to my heart since 1976, when I watched them play in the Liberty Bowl over the Christmas holiday. And I was just a wee little Bill Sylvie back then. I cannot recall in the modern era when I have watched a team come completely unglued like they did last night. I said in the Discord, and I got roundly roasted for this, but I'm going to stand by it. This team played as poorly as I have seen them play since the Mike Shula era. It was that bad. Don't point to me at 2 touchdowns late in the first half and say, well, you know, it's not that bad. It looks better on paper. You know, we do our high tide, low tide elephant stomp. Spoiler alert from me. There was no high tide. There was no elephant stomp last night. You might say, well, what about the interceptions? What about the fumble recoveries, Bill? They amounted to nothing. They did nothing. The team wasn't there mentally. Anderson was the only person who seemed to have his head screwed on right. Everyone else on this team seemed completely out to lunch last night. Everyone on this team seemed, and yes, I'm including Bryce Young in that. Bo, what do you got?
Good morning.
So
That's it. All I got.
I need one of those.
no. All right. So Bill O'Brien needs to get his head out of his and put together a game plan and stop drawing plays out of a hat.
It's past time for that. Bill O'Brien needs to not be working for the University of Alabama football program any longer. It's not a meme anymore. It's not a joke.
No, definitely not.
Well, I'll tell you, every play call looks bad when your offensive line's getting beat as badly as ours got beat last night. And Dalcourt got hurt, which means we had to shuffle the offensive line. We had to put Chris Owens back in at center, and we did not look very good and did not look like we were communicating very well with Owens at center. But to be honest, we didn't look very good before that either. LSU, to give them credit, they shot their shot and they played their best game, and their defensive line took over the game for the most part. They kept having free rushers. I mean, they kept blitzing, and we had no answers for it. But to be perfectly honest, that's on the offensive coordinator. If you don't have an answer for them blitzing every time, we don't have. I know for a fact that there are plays that exist to counter a blitz, but I don't know if Bill O'Brien knows what those plays are because he's not calling them. I see that he's trying to go to hot routes every time, but our receiving core they're inconsistent. Williams had a great catch last night for a long touchdown, but he missed several more. He shows flashes of being a very good receiver, but he's very inconsistent. Mechie did not have a good game last night. I understand that we were running against a very talented defense, but those guys have to be able to get open against a team like LSU, who were out most of their starting defensive backfield. They've got to get open, and we've got to get them in plays where they can get open. Young held the ball too long last night, took several sacks because of it. He looked like he took a little step back in blitzing or handling the blitz and taking off when he should be taking off. He was doing pretty well at that, and he had several opportunities where he could have just taken off and ran, and we would have been much better off than when he held onto the ball and tried to find somebody downfield. There were a couple of third and shorts where he held the ball, scrambled trying to find an open guy, and could have easily made a first down that would have extended a lot of drives. But the defense played, I think, a very good game, and I can't really fault them for anything. Will Anderson took over the game on defense. I really like what I see with that guy, and we're not going to be able to keep him he's not going to stay around very long. He's going to be a short timer because he's going to be a very high draft pick.
Yeah.
But overall, the offensive team looked terrible, and the blame goes to coaching and the offensive line. That's the bottom line.
Well, before we jump into the stats, I do want to I do want to walk back one thing slightly. After the interception in on our own side of the field, I'm sorry, fumble recovery on our own side of the field. Will Anderson saved us. Will Anderson and Will Anderson alone, because he turned what I literally thought was the end of the ball game into a 3-and-out for LSU.
He came to play.
Yeah, Will Anderson saved us.
Will Anderson for Heisman.
Yeah,
He's the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Both sides of the ball.
and I mean, as far as our offense against their defense, again, folks, we're going to go to the numbers here in just a minute. But as far as our offense against their defense is concerned,
Test 1, 2.
I gotcha. This was a crippled defense. Okay, they were minus what, 7 starters. Anyway, let's look at the numbers, as ugly as those are, because as an Alabama fan, I tend to lose my cool when it comes to games, and then I go back and I look at the numbers, and I'm like, oh, okay, I was just being a drama llama. It's a lot better on paper than it looked on TV. That's not the case with this game, and we're going to see why. Bryce Young, 24 of 37 for 302 yards, averaging 8.2 with a QBR of 63. That's a D, by the way. If you're going by the American school grading system, that's a D. See me after class, Mr. Young. Rushing. Oh, God, do I have to do this? All right. Brian Robinson, 13 carries, 18 yards, averaging 1.4, 1 touchdown, long of 5. Roydale Williams, 2 for 9, averaging 4.5, long of 7. Jamison Williams, 1 for 1. Slade Bolden, 1 for none. Because that brilliant snap to Slade Bolden, who's proven to be an electric runner. Bryce, 9 carries, negative 22 yards. Total carries, 26. Total yards, 6. 6 total yards. Bo stepped away for technical issues. He'll be right back. Receiving, Jamison, 10 for 160. Long of 58, 1 touchdown. Mechie, 9 for 73. Averaging 8.1, long of 22, 1 touchdown. Roydale Williams, 1 for 24. Slade Bolden, 2 for 22. Slade, keep on keeping on, buddy. Latu, 1 for 15. B-Rob, 1 for 8. Total yards through the air, 302. Fumbles, oh boy. Bryce dropped 2, lost 1. Jamison Williams dropped 1. So we had 3 fumbles.
Bryce Young, he was under pressure all night because they kept blitzing and they kept blitzing because it was working, and we didn't have a counter. That's coaching.
Yeah.
They've got to fix that. The offensive line coach does not look like he has prepared them for one of their starters going down. So when Dalcourt sprained his ankle and had to leave the game, we were just out of sorts in a big way.
Yep. Let's see. the slight bright spot is on defensive numbers. Will Anderson, 12 tackles, 8 solo, 1.5 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss. Toto, I am surprised, was not more of a factor. 9 with 4 solo. But those, I'm just gonna look at the. Let's see, and your back, Bo.
How about now? Is that better?
Oh yes.
You love technology.
Oh yeah. Fidarian Mathis picked up a sack. Christian Harris assist on a sack. Dallas Turner, 2 sacks last night. So we had a total of 5 sacks and 8 quarterback hurries, so I guess that was good. Jalen Armour Davis with a pick. Jamison Williams had a nice TD return of 22 yards. I'm sorry, kick return. I said TD return. My apologies. Punt return, JoJo Earl, 3 for 31. Will Reichert missed a field goal last night. William Sims says, can we make the... You know what? That's going up. So Will's missed field goal and his missed PAT, neither of those were Will's fault. Him and Anderson are kind of the 2 people who are exonerated from the blame last night. Do you ever have one of those situations in class when the teacher comes back after a substitute and it was absolute madness, except for like 2 people in the class? Maybe it's you and one of your friends, and the teacher says, John, Bo, you guys can go to the playground. The rest of you, and you're like, oh crap, what's going on? Well, that's Will Reichert and Will Anderson may go to the playground. The rest of you, Will was robbed of an extra point, which almost cost us the game, and a field goal by Paul Brick Hands Tyson. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a rough night.
I don't know what the hell Tyson was doing with those snaps, taking him to his body and then setting him down. I can't even. Why? How could you be? Oh God! So James Burnett punted way too much last night, but thank God he's consistent. 6 punts, 238 yards, averaging 39.7 with a long of 47. And that is the tale of the disgusting fell under the couch and collected dust and cat hair tape.
Yeah, it's that thing that looked like a peanut that turned out not to be a peanut that concerns me with that. That was an ugly game. LSU is a talented team. They have a lot of talent on it. They haven't been well coached, but I think last night was the night they thought they were going to, we're going to shoot our shot, and everybody decided to go out in a blaze of glory, and they played by far their best game of the year, especially defensively. And Alabama just was not. They didn't have a counter for it on offense.
We weren't there. We weren't there. I asked during the first quarter, as a joke because I thought it was funny, where has Alabama spent the last couple of weeks? A Mobile whorehouse? Because honestly, I didn't see a consistent. I didn't see a moment of consistent ball play out of Alabama outside of a little bit in the second quarter. The rest, I thought, okay, they go into half, they make adjustments, everything's cool. They went into the half and they came out somehow managing to play worse than they did in the first quarter.
Yeah, they were actually starting to move the ball pretty well towards the end of the first half. And
Yeah.
I thought we were going to come out and control the second half. LSU decided, no, we're not going to let you do that. And like again, they blitzed almost. It seems like just about every play, and we just didn't do anything to counter it. And that's coaching. That's the coach.
We lost to Texas A&M and played better football than this. The Texas A&M game. You take the team from the Texas A&M game and play them last night. And when I say the team, that's not an abstraction. That's not an abstraction. Every week it's what Alabama are we going to get tonight or today?
If I wanted this, I'd be an Auburn fan. Jeez.
You take the team that we played against Texas A&M, and we would have hung 55 points on LSU last night. Literally, they could have gone into the cruise control mode that they seemed to be in all night long, because that was better and more consistent play. It was little mistakes here and again and some bad luck breaks that lost us the Texas A&M game. This, I don't know. I'm normally a fairly verbose fellow. I have a pretty deep bag of vocabulary tricks I can bring to the table. I am at a loss for words. The Commandant says, the Will Anderson conundrum is why I'm not lauding Golding with praise. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is the defense without Anderson's singular greatness. Nowhere. They're nowhere. Like I said, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Reichert may go to the playground. The rest of the class has to sit in and write 1,000 times. I will not play so abominably bad. So, I
will say this.
Go ahead.
We're not as bad as we looked in stretches. We will get a lot of that stuff ironed out in practice this week. The offensive line was confused a lot, and that makes them look way worse. So they will get better on that. And hopefully Dalcourt will be back this week so we can have our starting lineup back. But they got beat up front, and it was mental as much as it was physical.
I mean, I don't want to.
More.
I don't want to be harsh on Bryce. I mean, it's not terribly easy to be a good quarterback when LSU's defensive line is living in your backfield. It's not easy. So, guys, again, this is nominally the high tide, low tide, elephant stomp. Is there anything you guys can pick out of last night? Anything you can salvage from the wreckage that is particularly noteworthy or praiseworthy? I watched the full game beginning to end, except hilariously enough, I was robbed of Will Anderson's amazing stop after that turnover. My streaming box, I use a Roku, and they're normally, I mean, they're solid little devices, but my streaming box said, yeah, I'm going to crash. So I was scrambling to get it rebooted and get the game back on the TV, and by the time I did, Alabama had the ball back with like 2 minutes and change left. So I missed probably the only high tide or elephant stomp moments, but how about you guys?
I mean, low tide was offensive line, I guess. I mean, I guess we see why, Owens was at tackle and not center, because the pressure up the middle last night was just insane.
Pressure from a depleted LSU defense.
Yeah.
Well, their depletions on the back end, not up front. They have a good front, and they were blitzing. Like I said, almost every play they were blitzing. They were sending linebackers up the middle in the A gap, and it was working. And we didn't have a counter for them. I mean, that's coaching. We didn't do anything to stop it, and so it kept working, and so they kept doing it, and it just never got better. And I agree. That's my low tide. It's bad offensive line play.
Hmm. I mean, Will Anderson was, well, I guess the defensive front seven there at the end of the game. You know, they did bow up and get 2 stops at the end of the game and they managed to not lose. So yay. Elephant Stomp was probably Will Anderson's sack where he almost decapitated Max Johnson. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was a nasty stunt, and it worked. But I'm changing my Heisman vote. Will Anderson is now my Heisman front runner.
Yeah. I mean, I just.
I'll tell you. I'll start with low tide, and I agree with Bo. Bad, and I keep saying it. It's like it's a theme. Bad offensive line play. They were beaten physically somewhat, but honestly, it looked worse because they were confused, and they were blocking and letting. There was always a free rusher coming up the middle, and there are no blocking schemes that allow that. They were confused all night. There was always somebody blocking the wrong guy. It's fixable, but boy, it caused us problems last night and made the offense look way worse. My high tide is that last touchdown pass to Williams. That was pretty. And personal story. I had to run down the street to take a jacket back to a playmate of my daughter's. And we took that moment to go do that. So I paused the game, took off, and dropped off the jacket and came back, started the game. Fumble recovery, and that deep shot to Williams. So I turned around and told my wife, we got to leave again. But we didn't, and so the rest of the game just played out the way it did. So my fault, guys. I apologize. I should have just left. My elephant stop moment, I have 2 of them. Will Anderson, more than just the one play, he took over the game in the second half. They could not get anything going because of him. And my real elephant stop moment is Dallas Turner's sack on the first play of LSU's last possession. He set the tone for that last drive.
Yeah,
and
that probably saved us. I got to be
our,
honest.
Our defense, I mean, we gave up 100 yards rushing, 109 total yards, but we gave up 104 yards to Davis Price. So we had a 100-yard rusher, but our defense played a good game. Really, I mean, the first drive of the game, we had them stopped, and they just had a fake punt. That's not the defense. That's kick return team. So those are my moments, guys.
I mean, I knew that Orgeron was going to be doing YOLO shit because he's got nothing to lose. I mean, he's got absolutely nothing to lose. He's a dead man walking. Career-wise, nobody at me. How they could not have been on standing alert for technology from Orgeron, I don't know. I honestly, I just don't know. So yeah, that is. I mean, I guess I gotta go with you, John. I mean, if there's an elephant stomp moment, it was, in all likelihood, the sack in the last drive. Because honestly, giving them 70 seconds, that LSU team against this defense, or that LSU team against this Alabama team, because I don't want to sound like I'm throwing too much shade at the defense. The game was in was in question literally till the final whistle. This is a game that should have been put away sometime in the second quarter.
Should have been, yeah. So before we go to halftime, I want to ask about the incomplete pass that the fumble that was called an incomplete pass. Why was that not, if it was an incomplete pass, why was it not intentional grounding?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about this. See, normally, we've got time for Jessica's no kisses, no hugs. Jess is out today, but I want to talk about the ref ball that went on last night. Look, if you're following the process, then ref ball doesn't matter. The Zebras last night, I hope they get flaming bags of poop on their doorsteps. Because honestly, look, guys, it's one thing to do ticky-tack, like, I'm going to look the other way on holding, I'm not going to call PI against you that often, that they consistently do to Alabama. That call, Phantom Horse collar, not calling at least 2 cases of egregious PI against LSU, and you guys know the ones I'm talking about. The so-called intentional grounding, and that fumble that wasn't a fumble, it's an incomplete pass, but it's not intentional grounding. What even are the SEC refs these days, if not incredibly bent against Alabama? I mean, literally, just knives and forks out against the University of Alabama. Yes, I'm calling it. I'm going to be that guy. The refs were against us last night. So,
They I don't know, they're making up some rules these days. Because
go ahead, I'm sorry.
The intentional grounding, Bryce had no way of knowing that guy wasn't an eligible receiver, and that was a technicality, and they knew it, and yet they decided to call it. That was bad. And then the incomplete pass that was really a fumble, that ball went straight down. And not 2 weeks ago, I saw it. I saw that exact play being called a fumble. I mean, that ball went backwards.
Yeah.
That was just terrible.
And if this is what they're doing to us in a home game against an allegedly completely broken LSU, what are they going to do to us in Jordan-Hare?
Well, I have a feeling that crew is on Nick Saban's list of they better not show up at one of my games again, because I mean, they were enforcing the rules they wanted to enforce, and then an obvious pass interference in the end zone, turning a guy's hips while he's trying to catch a ball. That's obvious pass interference, and nope, hands in my pockets. Yeah, that was embarrassing. I mean, SEC refs have been kind of bad this year, and I'm not one to complain about them, but they were absolutely awful last night.
College refs have been bad across the board, but this year, I mean, it just atrocious. I held my there was a tackle. I don't remember the specifics, but I held my breath because I was absolutely certain the flag was coming out for targeting. I think you guys know.
Yeah,
absolutely. That fit that fit the definition.
Yes, yeah. How that was not targeting. Now, switch the uniform colors, and that would have been targeting every time.
Yeah. I
I don't usually complain about the refs because it's pointless, but last night was just, I don't know, it was egregious on both sides. When Alabama had the ball, LSU could do no wrong. And if there was a 50-50 call and one way was bad for Bama, that's the way it was going to go.
Yep.
And it just irked me. And most of the time my complaining about the refs is a rules question, right? So the rule for targeting is, leading with the head and contact to the, to the head or neck area, which, and launching, right? That's part of it.
Yeah.
All of those things happened.
Yep.
And there's no flag. Come on, seriously.
And for clarification, the one I'm thinking about was a tackle that Alabama made, and it was the defender. And I honestly, this is embarrassing. Let me look at the tape and see if I've got this here. Maybe it. Maybe it was Battle. I don't think it was Anderson. It was either Battle or Jobe, but went in on a tackle and hit shoulder pad to shoulder pad. And from the TV angle, I was absolutely certain. I was like, just everything clenched up. I was like, shit, here comes, pardon my language, folks, here comes the targeting call. But amazingly, I guess the referees were looking for something else. Amazingly, we didn't get it. I fully expected a targeting call on that. I said aloud, oh, here comes targeting. No? Oh my God. I was surprised that it wasn't. I was surprised that it wasn't a targeting call. So, Volcano God says, outsider looking in, I'm a Cincinnati fan, and I'll say the officiating was horrible last night and typical to Alabama's detriment. Thank you, Volcano God. Thank you. Full disclosure, I know Volcano God. He's a swell guy. And yes, you're absolutely right. The officiating last night was atrocious. Every team should be on watch against the Zebras this season. Just, you're going to get hosed by the refs. I mean, maybe they're good out in the Pac-10. I don't know. Because I haven't seen good officiating in college football this year anywhere. I've watched teams get screwed left, right, and center all across 1A FBS.
As much money as there is in this sport, you would think that they could spend some of it and improve the officiating quality. Aren't they still part-time employees?
I don't know.
They are.
Yeah. I mean, they did this, I'm not a referee, but I play one on Saturdays, I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah, I was watching Once Upon a Time, kids, ESPN used to have good content that you could just click and watch, and then they fired like 10,000 employees or something like that, and now it's slowly coming back, but on ESPN Plus only. But I remember a few years ago, they did a thing about college officials, and there's a man, and I think he's generally a good was generally a good official, but he's now, I think, CBS's guy in the booth. I don't know, but yeah, his gig was like middle school soccer games he was an official at when he wasn't calling college football games. How crazy is that? It's like, I'm standing on a field in front of 105,000 people in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, but Monday afternoon I'm going to be in front of 30 soccer moms. I mean, that's...
who are probably screaming worse things than he heard on Saturday.
Probably.
Those soccer moms can be vicious.
Oh yeah.
But I can tell you that when I lived in South Carolina, my insurance agent actually was an SEC baseball official, and I'd go in every 6 months, every year or so, and do like a insurance review to make sure that my coverage was adequate.
Right.
And we'd spend an hour and a half in his office talking, and about an hour that was about baseball.
Mm.
So, yeah, they are not full-time officials. They usually have day jobs.
Yeah. So when we say don't quit your day job, we mean it with regard to officials and officiating. All right. Well, folks, it's halftime, and while Alabama couldn't, we're going to make some halftime adjustments. And we're going to start that off with today's trivia question. Now, this is a real humdinger here, and I think this is, I think Big John brought us this trivia question. Nobody got last week's trivia question, which again, if you missed the intro to the show, was what was the longest winning streak against Tennessee, beginning and ending prior to Nick Saban's unending bloodletting against them, and that was 71-81 under Paul Bear Bryant. This week's trivia question is: when was the last year Alabama scored 40 plus in a win at home against LSU? What year did Alabama score over 40 points in an at-home win against LSU? That is the trivia question.
No Googling, although I had to Google it to get the answer. I was surprised.
I was surprised too. I've seen the answer, and I'm highly surprised by that.
I fell for that question hard.
I was like, oh, well, of course that'll be blah, 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 and it wasn't. I was shook.
Just remember, the last 2 or 3 years have been outliers in this game, and that should help guide you.
Yeah, 9-6. Anyone?
Mm-hmm.
21-0, which sounds good on paper, but all right. So now we're going to mix things up a little bit. As far as the top 25, we're going to run the ticker. Those of you who are interested in what happened in the Mountain West yesterday or whatever, we'll have
Air Force lost.
Air Force lost. Yes, Air Force lost. Hawaii lost, just in case you care. Are they big football fans in Hawaii? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to run the ticker, but we're going to look at things a little differently. Now, the ticker that I use, because there was a question about this in the meeting a few weeks ago, I run the AP ticker just because the AP top 10 was the biggest thing in college football when I was a kid. So I run the AP ticker, but today we're going to look more at CFP. And of course, we're going to have Big John's stock tips, buy, sell, or hold. And we're going to look, are we going to look around the conference? We're going to look around the conference a little bit. But I'm going to leave that to better brains than mine. Here comes the ticker. And get your Coca-Cola and your hot dog and your popcorn, and settle back into your seats, folks, because halftime is over.
Go, Bo, go.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
so I'm sorry. I had to reboot my system and I've lost all my notes. All right. So around the conference, basically, Georgia played well and everybody else did not. Georgia's got a firm grasp on that number one slot, and then after them, it's like, okay, I'm not really sure. Stetson Bennett, he threw 19 passes for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. Of course, now they were playing Missouri, so which I was surprised to see Missouri had won 4 games. It just, so no huge surprises that we were able to gain out of that Georgia Missouri game.
I'm slightly surprised it was that close, to be honest. I expected that to be
43-6. How
yes.
that?
I've seen Missouri play. I see how bad they are. I think maybe they took it easy on them or something.
or right, which is why I'm like, wait a minute, they won 4 games. So there was a moment there when at the very beginning of the game when it looked like, Missouri's come to play, and that lasted all of one drive. So, okay, all right, Missouri, you are who we thought you are. The only reason that you weren't the worst team in the conference last week was because Vandy was off. They still lost to bye, but still, So yeah, Georgia still has not played a team with a pulse in the passing game. So we shall see. We shall see. We've already beaten Alabama and LSU to death. The other game that I watched was the Auburn Texas A&M game, which you guys may know my wife is an Auburn gal. She absolutely cannot stand Bo Nix, and it is the most entertaining thing to watch an Auburn game with her when Bo is having one of his, like the defense gets in his face a couple of times and he just loses all composure. And that really is true. He can have, like last week he played very well, and this week he just he gets blowed up and he just does not recover. I'm surprised he didn't get benched in that game.
So
and
what you're saying is Captain YOLO showed up again?
Captain YOLO showed up again, and A&M played pretty well. Did you guys see any of that game? Did you see when Calzada came out and he looked like, I swear the kid had a dislocated shoulder or something? He was in massive pain. And I don't know, they shot him up with some horse tranquilizer or something and sent him back in. But that was that hurt. That hurt me. But Texas, they look decent. Spiller's a good running back, and Calzada is, he's a serviceable quarterback. Unless he's playing Alabama, and then he's the reincarnation of Steven Garcia. So,
that was Texas A&M played a very solid. Have you guys noticed defense is making a comeback this season?
Yeah. I read Eric's
defenses.
article about that, and I think we're seeing, and I agree with him, I think we're seeing the pendulum start to swing back towards the defense adjusting to this, past
RPO,
couple of years. Past couple of years, it's just been, wide open basketball on grass, crazy offense. Some of that was brought about by rules changes and, the RPO, obviously. What Eric said in the article was, they're just dropping 7 and 8 into coverage and giving up the underneath so that they don't give up the over the top big play. And that's true. Everybody's playing a lot more zone, except us, and it's starting to have an effect. So we're probably seeing that pendulum swing back towards the defense, or at least towards a bit of balance. Because let's be honest, the offensive have been just insane the past couple of years. So, but that was that was an entertaining game. So now we've got I guess Ole Miss and Liberty. Did anybody see? There was a tweet. Ole Miss tweeted something and then deleted it. I did not see what the tweet was. Did either of you guys see that?
No, but if it's Lane Kiffin running the thing, it could have been anything. It could have been anything.
It was.
Let's just say it was bad enough that Lane Kiffin actually had to comment on it, and
oh wow!
he
so whoever runs the team Twitter tweeted something, and I don't know what it was, but I did see where it had to be deleted. So, stay classy, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And so I caught the end of the Tennessee Kentucky game. Not really sure what happened in that game, but Tennessee won 45-42. Oh, holy crap! What?
Tennessee, you
Kentucky.
can go to the Big Ten. You have our blessing. It's
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky had 609 total yards in that game.
If they're going to keep playing like that, then
Yeah.
I guess Oklahoma's a welcome addition for them. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a close competitive game. It was the last 3 minutes or so that I watched, pretty entertaining. So sad to get to see the whole game, but Hooker had 4 TDs for Tennessee. So and then Kentucky's quarterback, 369-yard passing. That's I think they said Kentucky ran 99 or 100 plays.
Yeah.
Time
William
of possession
Sims
was
46 minutes.
Yes, 40. You have the ball for 46 minutes, which is nuts, and you still lose. It's just like, okay, Kentucky, you're making Tennessee look good, and you need to stop.
Yeah.
An interception and a fumble would hurt their cause there a little bit.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
William Sims on point for us says, regarding the tweet, they were mocking Hugh Freeze's tweet about the NCAA years ago. So,
okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We lost Bo. He'll be back. I guess he's having some technical issues, but we'll bring him back on as quick as he's back. One game in the top 25 I want to mention before we go to looking at committee games. Actually, two. This is a shout out from my buddy, Volcano God, since he snuck past Tulsa. But the other one was Wake Forest, North Carolina. That basketball score out there.
All right, you're still in my jokes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I apologize.
Yeah, my notes on this are Wake Forest lost their ACC basketball opener to North Carolina 58-55. Oh, wait, that was a football game?
Yeah,
you're just ripping off my notes. Thank you very much.
Come to the meetings more often.
Yeah.
I
hate meetings.
I do too. But yeah, that was my only game out of the top 25. Really, I will say this: Loki is moving without let or hindrance through the entire field of teams. Everything is being shaken up. Nobody is safe right now. Nobody. Well, Georgia's safe right now, but otherwise, nobody's safe right now. Lots of top 10 and top 25 losses.
Did you guys touch on South Carolina and Florida?
Not yet.
Sorry.
No.
They're
both
having all kinds of technical difficulties this morning. I apologize.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have a lot of friends back in South Carolina, and for those guys, congratulations! You got yourself a nice win yesterday. Yes. You really took it to Florida, guys. I think Florida. I mean that their coaches lost the team. I think that's what this looks like. They're just kind of.
I said it last night. I said it last night in the chat, and I'll say it again. Dan Mullen is a fraud.
Yeah.
He seemed to do a pretty good job at Mississippi State. I don't understand.
So here's the thing. Dan Mullen needs a Tim Tebow or as Dak Prescott in order for his offense to work. When he doesn't have someone of that caliber, it doesn't work. And you get what you've got this year.
A hot mess?
Yeah, I was going to go, with steaming pile of. Oops, my beat button doesn't work on this. Sorry.
well, I'm gonna say this. They were expected to lose, but the Cox stood up firm. And it was not just a sheer stroke of luck. The climax of that game was an amazing thing to see. But after that, I definitely think they can just kind of relax. If they want to be bowl eligible, though, they need to not go limp.
Truth.
Bravo, sir.
Thank you.
Your pun game is on point this morning.
Somebody's game's got to be on point. Somebody's game's got to be on point. I mean, you guys are on point, and our game is on point. But Commandant says I deserve partial credit for last week's trivia. No, you don't. Sorry, no, you don't. But if you want this week's win, you gotta. I want the Cox to beat Clemson so bad now. Yeah, me too. I never want good things for Clemson. I never. Let me make this completely clear. Yes, I hate Tennessee. I hate LSU, and I hate Auburn. Not in that order. But outside our walled garden, which is apparently getting an addition whether we want it or not next season. Outside of our walled garden, I have an absolute, just passionate, intense hatred for Clemson. I never want anything good for Clemson again. Keep making.
I wanted them to lose to Louisville yesterday. And they almost did.
They almost did.
But they scored over 20 points.
True.
Seeing this Clemson squad take a surface-to-air missile to the right wing and go down in flames this season has been one of the most satisfying things I have watched in football in a long time. Because the narrative from 2016 to September of this year was that Clemson was the new dynasty. The scion formerly of Alabama was the next big thing. But you know what? He is a one-dimensional, not even two-dimensional, a one-dimensional recruiter and a one-dimensional coach. And he has done press conferences where he has said, everything's working to plan. I don't see as we need to change anything. Keep that mindset up.
More pizza
Dabo.
Parties.
Keep that mindset up, Dabo. When you wake up in the middle of next season and look at social media, and it's as barren as praise for you is as bereft as it is for Ed O this season. Now, I'll say this: the man has a clean nose. Ed's problems are 60% personal. Or 60% or 60% Ed. So I'm not making that comparison. I'm not being that ugly about Dabo. But when you come to next season and the Regents are at your front door with a blank checkbook, don't be surprised. You brought this on yourself. All right? I mean, it's a staunch refusal to do anything about the problems. It is.
Yeah, I don't understand the refusal to use the transfer players.
It's one thing to say, hey, we might be heading into some pack ice. Crap, I turned too late, and now the Titanic has a hole in its hull. It's something else to say, I'll show that iceberg who's boss. Full speed ahead.
Ramming speed.
Yeah, exactly. Dabo, Baghdad, Bob Swinney. Yes, there are no ACC troops in the stadium. This is a lie. I will take you to where these ACC troops are supposed to be. You will see that great moments in history. Baghdad Bob standing there saying, there are no American troops in the sea. And you can see M1 tanks rolling by on the highway behind him. That was, regardless of your opinion on that entire military fracas, that was pretty hilarious. And that's where Dabo is. So yes, Dabo, keep on refusing to look for new coordinators. Keep on recruiting one-dimensional talent. Hey, maybe Trevor Lawrence will come and take an adult education typing class, and you can try and get him back in uniform, buddy. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So keep on acting like everything is hunky-dory, and we'll see where you are in 2022. Okay? Okay. All right, Big John, let's talk stocks and bonds.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we do that, I want to run through the top 25 real quick. Then we're going to circle back around. I'm going to give you my top 10, and then you can tell me what you think.
Make it so, number one.
So here we go. We're going to do this as fast as we can. We know about Georgia. We know about Alabama. Number 3, Michigan State. They were blasted by the Purdue car bombs. You realize that a Boilermaker is basically an Irish car bomb, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Purdue is now the car bombs, and so they blasted Michigan State 40-29.
I know we want to go through these real quick, but I have always, I shouldn't say I've always, for a number of years, I've had a soft spot in my heart for Purdue. Tyler Trent was an incredibly brave young man, and the night that Purdue took down an ascendant Ohio State, seeing him on the sideline cheering his team on was something special. So yay, Purdue. Continue on.
Thank you very much. Oregon, they pulled away late to beat Wisconsin 26-16 in a bad weather game.
What was up with the end of that game? Did you guys see it?
I did not.
Okay. Really quickly, Washington gave up a safety at the end of the game because the long snapper snapped the ball over the punter's head out the back of the end zone. Oh. And then Washington, it was 4th and 10. They're down on like the 10-yard line. Instead of just, hey, let's try to get the first down, there's like 50 seconds left. They're going to punt. And then they try an onside kick, right, from the 20. And it goes out of bounds. So now, before anybody touched it, so now Oregon's got the ball on the 15 or something. It was ridiculous. I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
Continue.
All right. Now, Ohio State managed to win against the 3-7 Cornhuskers 26-17. Stroud passed for over 400 yards, but he threw 2 picks. The mighty Buckeyes only managed a pair of field goals in the second half. Cincinnati, they beat the Golden Hurricanes with a goal line stand and a goal line fumble at the end of the game. How you manage that? Well, you stop them in 4th and goal on the 4, then you promptly fumble and then give them a chance to go in, and they just accidentally drop the ball as they're trying to cross the goal line at the end of the game. That was ugly. The Bearcats defense gave up 297 yards rushing. So after all the complaining and whining about the Bearcats not being in the top 4, they didn't play like a top 4 team. Of course, 3 of the top 4 really didn't either. So, we'll give you a pass on that one this time. Michigan took care of business against a 2-7 Indiana, 29-7. Indiana had under 200 yards of total offense, including 88 yards rushing. Michigan's defense is pretty good. Indiana is pretty bad. Oklahoma, nothing to talk about this week. Wake, undefeated. Top 10 Wake is no longer undefeated. They won the Battle of the Sams. I have to say that because Wake Forest quarterback Sam threw for 398 yards with 5 TDs, but 2 interceptions. North Carolina's quarterback named Sam was only 16 of 26 for 216 yards and a TD, but he ran for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tar Heels had over 300 yards rushing, so that game. Wake, they were exposed a bit. That in the Tar Heels, they decided that the team that everybody thought was going to be good early in the season showed up. And you'll notice this, I'm going to stop right here and say this: the theme of this season is inconsistency. Every team except one has been wildly inconsistent this year. And we'll go up to number 10, Notre Dame sank Navy 34-6. I have to apologize to my late dad. He was a Navy man. Sorry for that pun, Dad. Although I'm pretty sure you'd be laughing at it. Uh, Cone was 23 of 30, 29 for 269 yards, and Notre Dame had over 150 yards rushing. And the Irish defense held Navy to under 200 yards offense, including holding them to 1 of 3 passing for 18 yards. Welcome to defending the wishbone, guys. Good job. It's not easy. Oklahoma State took care of West Virginia 24-3. The Ears had a whopping 133 yards of total offense with an interception and a lost fumble. You're not going to win that way. Baylor, the TCU Horny Toads beat the Bears of Baylor 30-28 in their first game without longtime head coach Gary Patterson. Jerry Kill had them ready. If you guys remember, Jerry Kill was a pretty decent football coach at Minnesota until he had to resign for health reasons. And now he was a special assistant to Gary Patterson, so they named him as the interim head coach when Patterson stepped down. And they may not have to have a coaching search, because as long as Kill can stay healthy, he's a pretty doggone good coach. Then we know about Auburn and Texas A&M. So Brigham Young, let me tell you, today I learned that there is a team called the Idaho State Bengals. I know that. I did not know that before last night. And I know that because Brigham Young beat them 59-14. FYI, guys, this team, they're 1-8 and ranked, and they're 11th in the Big Sky Conference. So, maybe this isn't a good test for BYU. We'll just move on from that one. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Kentucky. We talked about all those guys. Although, I think we may have accidentally skipped over Mississippi State and their desperate need for a kicker. Vandy may be in the market for a trade there, guys. I hear they have a decent one that probably doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah.
NC State beat Florida State 28-14. NC State's quarterback Devin Leary threw for 314 yards and 4 TDs, but the Wolfpack held the Seminoles to 38 yards rushing. So
it's better than 6.
Yeah.
LSU's better than NC. Well, LSU's front 7 is better than NC State's front 7. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. But yeah, you're right. I probably shouldn't say much. Minnesota, the Illinois Fighting Henry Blakes. That one was for you, Bill.
Thank you.
Beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers 14-6. Illinois was 7 of 10 passing for 80 yards and a touchdown. But Minnesota's quarterback, Tanner Morgan, threw for 2 picks. And let me ask you at this point, guys, is the Big Ten getting closer to recreating that epic Auburn-Mississippi State 3-2 football game with some of these offenses out here?
It could happen in our lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, I see the defense is making a resurgence, but come on, guys. All right. Wisconsin pummeled Rutgers 52-3. The Knights' faces were scarlet after they were held to 207 yards of total offense. I'm not apologizing for that. Wisconsin's quarterback, Graham Fred Mertz, was 11 of 16 for 240 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick, and the Badgers ran for 305 yards and 3 touchdowns. And let me tell you, I don't think I'd want to play Wisconsin right now. They dropped some games early on some mistakes, but they got it together, and they're dangerous. I have to say that. Iowa, yeah, they took care of the Northwestern Fighting Hedge Fund Managers 17-12. Another one of those brilliant offensive games. And Iowa actually brought in their backup quarterback after the starter, Spencer Petras, kind of stank up the joint on the first 3 drives, and they got nowhere. Padilla was a little better. He was 18 of 28 for 172 yards, but he was able to move the ball some. The Hawkeye defense pick off Wildcat quarterback Andrew Marty. 2 first names, don't start him because he got picked off 3 times. And Iowa's last win before yesterday was October 9th against Penn State. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Fresno State, their time in the top 25 is probably going to be pretty short because they lost 40-14 to Boise State. They got down 13-0, and they just couldn't recover. Boise State controlled that game. San Diego State, that that way after dark game. The defenses seemed like they hogged all the coffee because the offenses were very sluggish last night. They weren't able. Neither offense was able to do much. So San Diego State held them off 17-10. Pitt handled Duke 54-29. They were down 12-7 after the first quarter. They ended up they gave up a touchdown, field goal, and a safety in the first quarter, but they kind of took control after that. And they were 30-19 at the half, and that was it. His quarterback, Kenny Pickett, was 28-43 for 416 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Pitt had 220 yards rushing. That'll take control of the ball game. So now that was a run through the top 25. Let's go ahead and unveil John's top 10, and you guys can tell me whether you're buying or selling. So we'll just start with the easy one. Number 1, Georgia. Bill, what do you got?
I got to buy. I got to buy. I know there are a couple of tiny questions with lowercase q on Georgia, but honestly, I think you'd be a fool not to. Now, I know in stocks, normally, it's you buy the dip. But, I mean, guys, right now, they are the Apple of college football. All right. Now, Alabama may be the Microsoft, but, you know, $30 a share versus the like $1,400 a share. Buy Georgia.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Bo, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I would buy Georgia, but they're all sold out, so I'm going to hold.
Yeah, with the number 1, and this is an obvious number 1. Not much to say here. Yeah. Georgia has been the only really consistent performer in college football this year. And, I mean, they're winning and winning rather convincingly with Stetson Bennett for most of the year. So, yeah, I mean, they're a clear number 1. And I'm going to tell you, starting at number 2, I almost...
You threw darts, right?
Just about. I tried to drop number 2, but I couldn't find anybody else to go there. So my number 2 right now is Alabama. Yeah. So tell me what you think, guys.
Hold. I can't believe I'm saying that about my Crimson Tide, but
yeah.
If they run like a wild beast through the back 3 games, I'll change that opinion. But until I see a team that can go out there and that can perform consistently week to week, guys, I don't want to get on my horse here, but you know, I saw some things and we need and we need to make adjustments. The time for that was 6 weeks ago. The time for adjustments to be over was 6 weeks ago.
So somebody, I mean, Saban did tell all these NFL coaches that we only play 12 games in the season, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hold Alabama.
Yeah, hold. That's where I am. I really wanted after last night to drop them, but who do you put there? That's the problem.
Well, I thought very seriously about moving up number 3. That's Ohio State, but I just couldn't do it. So what do you think about Ohio State at number 3?
Sell. I just, you know, you can't. 26-17 against Nebraska. That was not a 9-point win. Ohio State. Sorry, I'm selling not all my Ohio State. I'll hold on to a little bit of it, but I'm not completely convinced on Ohio State. So Ohio State's a sell for me.
Hello?
Yeah, same. Sell.
Oh, well, would you rather put number 4 Oregon up there, guys?
I would. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I would buy Oregon. I thought of for 2, honestly. They seem to have, I mean, they've got a couple of their injured players back. I don't see anybody in the pack that's gonna stop them.
Besides Stanford, you mean?
Yeah, oh, okay, fine.
I mean, that's
Again.
hard to get. That was hard to get over.
I know it is hard to get over, but I mean, they've got the best win and they've got the worst loss. So what do you do with that, right?
Well, I, I've also got Oklahoma at number 5. So tell me what you think about that one.
Hold for now. I gotta see. I got to see what happens in the next couple of games before I can make a decision. So I'm holding on Oklahoma. I know it's wishy-washy. It's, crap or get off the pot, but I'm holding.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy some Oklahoma at 5, but not higher.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, and for your volcano guy friend, I got Cincinnati at number 6, and I just can't see putting them any higher at this point.
Okay, well, I got to hang out with a dude on a regular basis, but I'm sticking to what I said last time. I say last week, last show. Since he's a penny stock, and those are the most fun sometimes. So just again, inject it into my veins. I'll buy up whatever anybody's selling on Cincy.
Should they be ranked higher than number 6?
If you're going to shuffle around Ohio State, maybe they take a bump up to 5. I'm still buying them, even if you don't move them. I'm still buying them. Just inject that straight into my veins. So I want all of that, Cincy. So if everybody else bumps up because Ohio State tumbles, then yes, move them up.
All right. What do you think, Bo?
Well, I'm looking at the EPS charts here, and I just don't see it. I'm selling them at 6.
I'll buy. I'll buy at 6 because I can afford to lose my shorts on this.
All right. So we have a this is our first real discrepancy. A buy and a sell for Cincy at 6. All right. Well, and the reason I put them at 6, I could have bumped them lower. And this is all about me doing imaginary. This is how I do this. This is my methodology. I do imaginary matchups. And I say, well, okay, if I'm ranking this guy higher than this guy, do I think he can actually beat him? And number 6 and number 7, number 7 has 2 losses, okay? But I think they're still right now one of the best teams in the country, and that's Texas A&M.
I would buy that.
Yeah, I'm buying A&M.
Yeah, I would buy. In fact, I would buy A&M at 5. Honestly,
if they had a better quarterback.
I mean, I think he's growing into it, though. I mean, they had a rash of injuries during those 2 losses, and it will remain to be seen if he's going to physically last the rest of the season, because the dude's beat up. He's got a bum knee, and now he's got a bum shoulder. So, but I would still, definitely 7 for sure.
All right. Yeah. Well, that means that I had to bump down to number 8, Michigan State, after their loss.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it's not like Purdue's a bad team, right?
But they're also not a top 10 team.
That's true. They're not a top 10 or a top 25 for that matter, honestly. Actually, I think Purdue probably will be top 25 this week. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll buy some at 8.
All right. What about you, Bill?
Since we're doing the financial analogies here, Purdue is the poison pill that can wreck up your company. So I'm buying Michigan at 8. Not a lot. I'm not sinking my profits into it, but I'll buy a little bit of Michigan at 8.
That's Michigan State, by the way, not
Michigan State. Sorry, Michigan State.
Okay.
Yes, for clarity.
Because Michigan's at number 9.
Yeah, I'm selling that. Sorry.
I'm selling Michigan
All right.
at 9.
Fair enough. The reason I have them at number 9 is because I could not move Notre Dame past number 10. I just couldn't do it.
I'm selling Notre Dame.
I'm selling
Sorry.
Notre Dame as well.
Well, I thought about that, but it all comes down to, well, who else is going to be there?
Give me some
I mean,
Oklahoma State at 10. Come on.
Yeah, I'll buy Oklahoma State at 10.
Maybe. Honestly, if Wisconsin keeps playing the way they're playing, they're going to move up. And I gave them some serious thought at number 10. If they weren't so mistake prone early in the season, I would have put them at number 10. But Oklahoma State, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sold on them yet. We'll see. Okay. Well, that's what I've got. Is there any other team out there that you think might be deserving of being in the top 10? I'll ask you that question.
Maybe, and I'm gonna get crumpled up receipts and used up ballpoint pens thrown at me for saying this, but maybe Ole Miss.
I'm not throwing anything at you for that because I actually gave them some thought there. But they make their living off of their run game, and honestly, I looked at Michigan and Michigan State, and I didn't think that they could be that successful against them. They're not a great passing team this year, and their run game is sort of a finesse run game. It's not a power run game, and I had them ranked in the top 10 before they lost to Texas A&M, but it was Auburn. Never mind. Actually, that's why I dropped them. They lost to Auburn. But I gave them thought there, but I think 8, 9, and 10, even Notre Dame, I think would beat them.
Ouch. Ouch, Mike.
I don't know about that. No,
I don't know about that. I
don't know about that.
I would sell all Notre Dame and buy buy all Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But
if those are the only two funds I had to choose from, I would just put it all in Ole Miss.
Same, but you didn't put them in the top 10, and I'm not gonna step on your your buy and sell there, other than to say that depending on what happens in the coming weeks, I think we're going to see them return to the stock ticker. I do.
We'll see what they do next week. I'm kind of keeping an eye on next week to see what they do against Texas A&M.
Yep.
So okay, well, hey, thanks for playing my game. Thanks for. I like the back and forth on this one. So.
Well, thank you for bringing it because it's a fun segment and we enjoy it. And with all the gloom and doom we started off with, we certainly needed some fun.
Yeah.
So
audience poll. What do we name the mascot? The show got a new mascot.
Oh yeah. Okay. So do you want me to share a picture of the show mascot?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay,
we're at the end of the show, so might as well, right?
Let me see. The one you don't want. I'm gonna go.
The last one I posted was probably the one.
Okay. All right. I will take your. Now the one that you said that your wife doesn't like is
just because she's in it.
Well, no. I mean the suggestion.
The name. Yeah, exactly.
Is the one that I like the most.
Me too.
We have to. I mean, what do we need to do to convince your wife? Do we need to start up a GoFundMe to send y'all out to dinner?
So I was waiting. I was waiting on Bill to put the picture up, but we got a new mascot, and she is an 8-week-old.
Oh, we lost Bo.
Did we lose him? Oh,
yeah, we lost his audio. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to figure out how to share because
it's cute and it's adorable, but she doesn't like that, and she's wanting either Sadie or Charlie.
So we will send her an Outback gift card if she agrees. I'll send you an Outback gift card if you.
You guys don't know my wife. She's liable to open up the bidding and. Okay.
All right, let me see if I can do this here. All right, so we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna blow this up. So I'm gonna share my other. I'm gonna share my secondary display here. Share screen. Share screen. Screen 2. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, doesn't she just look like Miss Terry?
I am backing the Miss Terry name.
I'm all in. Sorry,
Okay.
on Miss Terry.
All right. Well, I'll let her know what you guys think. I'd be curious to know what the chat thinks. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there, I'm gonna zoom that in just a little bit, so folks can get. Is that not the cutest little doggy?
I bet she has sharp teeth.
She does. That's partly why she wants to name her Charlie, so she can go, Charlie bit my finger. And I'm like, really? That's
Well, maybe we should find out what the name of that monkey is in Texas.
Oh gosh.
As an alternate name.
Did you guys see the sign that they took to the Texas game?
No,
Somebody had a poster board, and it had the Longhorn head upside down, and hanging off of one horn was the pole assassin, and hanging off the other horn was a monkey.
Oh yes, okay, I saw that one, and that was brilliant. Yes, that was absolutely amazing. I like that one a lot. All right, well we're gonna. I gotta pull up some notes, so we're gonna say bye bye to the puppy for now. So, but yes, folks, write in on what you think the show mascot name should be, and Bo will take it to his wife, who will then veto all of your suggestions.
Yes, because this is how marriage works.
It is. So at MSU this coming week, NMSU, I'd say this should be a cakewalk for Alabama, but Jesus Christ.
This is the week to get some things fixed and to get that offensive line communicating again. If you can't communicate on your home field, where can you communicate?
I see these players do this coordinated hand thing after they make a good play. So I know they know how to communicate with their hands.
Yeah.
They also know how to look back and forth at each other after they've let a free rusher in on a sack. I've seen that too.
Yeah. I'm just hopeful that
and there he goes.
Yeah,
poor Bo.
I know. This is well while we're waiting for Bo to get back.
As the game went on, so I think maybe now we know why Owens was at right tackle instead of center, because he may be a better snapper, but Dalcourt had just done much better as a blocker at center.
Owens was getting pushed backwards on run plays at center, especially when it was under center. That was yeah. I mean, I see that I think we're putting our best 5 out there. We've just got some guys that have a lot of talent that need to be developing. And I'm blaming this on coaches, but maybe this is who we are this year, and we just need another season of getting these guys ready.
Maybe. I don't know.
I just, I don't want to beat a dead horse, guys, but in previous rebuilding seasons, 2014, springs to mind immediately. I didn't see. I saw teams that were complete, but not elite. I saw teams that were coordinated to 99%, but that 99% wasn't enough to win consistently. I mean, maybe this kind of season is a norm for people on the outside looking in. But this is, 15 years of consistently awesome football has not prepared me for an Alabama that plays just like everybody else, where week to week it's a coin toss as to what team shows up, the good Alabama or the bad Alabama.
I think we're having PTSD from last season, or whatever the opposite of PTSD is, because last season was so good.
ELS syndrome is what we're having.
Is that where ELS?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say being high on our own farts, but yeah, that's
I'm just thinking right now we're being entitled to little snots because we're just so used to seeing complete domination.
Yeah.
And incredibly explosive offenses, and that's just not who we are this year.
I mean, if you want to go to the game next week, you can get tickets for $11.
Honestly, if I had reason to be in Alabama, I would go.
Yeah.
Just I've never been to a University of Alabama game.
I mean, I can probably grab my sister-in-law's season tickets for next week for nothing. So if you get 4 of them, come on up. Let's go. Me, you, John, and Jess. We should just all go to the game. To do a live broadcast.
If I could get up there, believe me, I would do just that. But yeah, so I think NMSU. I think I'm knocking on wood when I'm saying this. I think it's a foregone conclusion that we win. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be teeth gnashing, throwing ashes on our head, rending our clothes moments, and NMSU is probably going to score 10 to 17 points. What Alabama scores, it could be as low as 28. It could be as high as 54.
Yeah, it could be anywhere in there. It depends on, how much experimentation they do after this week. I think they need to go back and do whatever was working before, because whatever they installed during the bye week, they need to take it out back and burn it, because it did not work.
BillO'Brien.exe has stopped working. Click here to uninstall BillO'Brien.exe.
Yes, very much so. But we shall see. Maybe we'll see some some different offensive line shuffling going on. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw, a couple of different groupings, just to see what works in a live game.
Yeah, they said Dalcourt had a sprained ankle, but I have a feeling they're going to hold him out so his ankle can get better. Even if he
probably
could go.
I would imagine so. There's no need to risk that.
That honestly, that would help. Our offensive line just needs reps right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, does anybody know Jalen Armour Davis? Is he okay? He got nicked last night.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
I can't remember. I read something and I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was serious.
All right. And what's his name? Captain Doom and Gloom tweets. He was apparently uniformed up and practicing last night.
Oh, really?
What? Yeah, you know who I'm talking. I'm going.
Yeah, was it Aggie Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aggie Hall. Yeah, he was apparently suited up and warming up last night. Whatever it was, at least for the time being,
Well, maybe he just needed to get it out and get back to work and refocus. I mean, he is a kid. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I've done worse older.
I did worse last week.
One little show announcement. I will actually be handing over the helmsman duties to you gentlemen And Jess, I will not be here next Saturday. Or next Sunday, rather. I wouldn't be here next Saturday anyway. But I will not be here next Sunday. Taking a little bit of a staycation. Just going to go relax for a little bit in town. But you guys will not hear my dulcet tones and my rapier sharp wit will be denied to you. I tried to work it so that at the very least I could mobile in on the show with someone else at the helm, but it's not going to work out.
Can you at least text me some of your Dungeons and Dragons jokes so I can just make it feel?
Hey, that was one time. I talked about D&D on the show. But yes, I leave it in y'all's capable hands. Very, very capable hands next week. The show might actually be good. But anyway, that's all I have for today, guys. Any parting thoughts?
We're going to score in the 40s to 50s next week. We'll hold them to under 20. It'll be a game where we can get some guys healed up, and it'll be nice and boring, and we can get it over with.
I'm all for nice and boring.
Yeah, let's have nice and boring. All right, so nobody got to today's trivia. You have an entire week to get that. The trivia question is, when was the last time Alabama beat LSU by 40-plus points at home? What was the year? That is the trivia question. The answer will surprise you. The answer will absolutely shock you. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Thank you to John, Henry. Thank you, Bo. Thank you to the audience. And roll Tide. And we will see you all next week.